So I just finished watching a possible NFC Championship preview between the Rams and the New Orleans Saints, and it ended up being a pretty good game. The Saints jumped out to a lead, and the Rams crawled back in. You got to give them credit. So in this video, we're going to break down exactly what happened in the game from both sides between the Rams and the Saints, and what does this mean for the NFC playoff picture. We're starting right now. What up, though? What's up, everybody? It's Aaron Duncan here at the Necessary Blunt and Sports Talk. You guys already know it's the channel. I might not tell you what you want to hear, but I'm definitely going to tell you what you need to hear. And of course, on this channel, I give recap and analysis of the best division in the NFL, the NFC South, along with other NFL coverage, of course. So if you want to see more videos about the Bucs, Saints, Panthers, or the Falcons, make sure you hit the subscribe button below, guys. Give the video a thumbs up. Make sure you share it with a friend. Let somebody know about it. Tell a friend to tell a friend. So we already know this game was going to be high scoring based off of Vegas' projected total of 60 points on the over-under, but I didn't expect it to be that many points because these guys were lighting it up, and they were lighting it up early. The script looked familiar to you guys if you're a Saints fan. It's because something similar to last week happened. The game turned on a turnover, and this time it was a turnover on downs. I thought that once the Saints got the ball first and they scored and they were kind of going back and forth, once Mark Ingram put the ball on the turf, you looked a little grim because you're setting one of the best offenses in the league up on a 20-yard line. You can't do that in a game of this magnitude. However, you got to give the putrid Saints defense, who's been pretty bad in the secondary this season, you got to give them some credit because they tightened up and forced the Rams to a field goal attempt. Even though the Rams had one of the best hitters in the league in Zerline, they faked the field goal on fourth down because we know touchdowns win games, field goals get you beat. I thought that he got to the line on that scramble. I don't know. The announcers thought Joe Buck and Troy Aikman thought the same thing. The rules analyst, ref guy that was in the booth said he thought the same thing. They didn't overturn it. They said they didn't have the evidence, so it is what it is. In my prediction, in the Wednesday prediction of my live stream, I thought that something like this would happen because some stuff tends to go the Saints' way when they're at home, and this one was one of the small things that changed the tide of the game earlier. We knew it was going to be a back-and-forth game, so getting that extra possession and letting the Saints off the hook ended up making a big difference in the first half. And like I said, if you listen to what I was saying on Wednesday in prediction, I figured that Mark Ingram would be pretty ineffective. Last year when they played the Rams, he didn't have a great game either. He was pretty much shut down. I told you it was going to be a big game for no one other than Alvin Kamara. I hate to say I told you so, but wait a minute. I love to say I told you so, and I told you so. 3 total touchdowns for Alvin Kamara, 100+ yards from scrimmage. He was unstoppable. They couldn't tackle him, and I told you guys that it was coming because he's just a guy that's hard to get on the ground. They really didn't have anybody to match up with him. I mean, the offense overall pretty much got whatever they wanted. Marcus Peters is not a primary corner without the lead back. We saw him get butchered last week and earlier in the season versus the Vikings. Michael Thomas gave him 200 yards, man. There's pretty much nothing he could do. He had a lot of holes and grabs, and there was nothing he could do. Michael Thomas was pretty much put it to him. He was in position a lot of times, but Michael Thomas is just good at making contested catches. He's not very athletic or fast or anything. He just can catch passes and has a pretty decent-sized body that he keeps catches the ball away from him, and he has pretty strong hands. When you couple that with one of the most accurate quarterbacks in history that's putting the ball in his numbers anyway, it's not a whole lot he has to do but secure the bag like he does. Michael Thomas had been pretty quiet the past few weeks, but this is a loud coming out party in America's Game of the Week, of course. And of course, he did a tribute to Joe Horn, who he got a big-time flag for. But I think Troy Aikman didn't like that much. You could hear how he was commentating during the game, talking about how Michael Thomas was and how he felt about that celebration. But like I said, you knew the Rams, if they could get a couple stops, they would be able to get back in the game. And that's exactly what they did. They tied the game up at 35 just by getting 1 or 2 stops. You know, that field goal right before halftime was huge for them. Their field goal kicker, Zerline, missed another field goal in the first half too. It's just, the Rams just didn't seem prepared for these type of tight games. You know, once the pressure gets kind of tough, they seem like they kind of self-implode with the penalties and stuff. Similar to how they were last year when they played a veteran experienced team in the Falcons in the playoffs. So this will be something to pay attention to. Like I said, I was very skeptical of the Rams earlier in the year because you can't buy a ring. You have to have chemistry on your teams, and with a lot of guys like that are hotheads, you're going to get those penalties sometimes, and it kind of showed its head today a little bit. And you got to give the Saints defense a little bit of credit because they got the stops when they needed to. They weren't very great overall. They didn't get much pressure on Goff. Well, they didn't get much pressure on Goff. I don't think they sacked him at all. And And they did slow down Gurley to a certain extent. I mean, Gurley gashed him a few times down the stretch. However, the game was so out of hand that the Rams had to resort to passing most of the way anyway, which is, like I said, is the best defense. And Troy Aikman actually agreed with what I said, how the Saints haven't really been tested, but they were today a little bit. They stood up to the test, you know, so they were able to dictate the flow of the game. That way they could take the run game out of it, which is a big factor also when it comes to playing defense. Sometimes the best defense is a good offense, and today that was the case. And it's still way too early to make any preconceived notions about the playoffs. Whatever your Saints friends and my friends are telling you guys, they didn't win the Super Bowl. As much as they think they did, you don't win a Super Bowl in Week 9. It is a big-time win, however, so they're going to talk about it, but don't let them overreact. You can't win a Super Bowl in Week 9, guys. However, it does give them the inside track and the head-to-head advantage against the Rams for home field advantage in the playoffs, of course, which is what is big because you want everybody to come through the dome, of course, and go to LA to get to the Super Bowl. However, it's still a lot of games left to play. Still 7 games left. Still a lot of football left to be played. Both teams have some tough games left, so there's still a lot to be determined and unfold in the NFC because it's still crazy. I mean, the Panthers nipping on the heels, they're still winning, so anything can happen in these next few weeks. So it's gonna be an interesting road down the stretch to see how this NFC playoffs turns out. You guys, let me know down below in the comments whatever you thought about the game overall. What do you think about the Rams now they got their first loss? Do you still think they're a Super Bowl favorite? Does that change how you feel about them? And what do you think about the Saints Super Bowl chance after you've seen them win at home against the Rams, one of the best teams in the league? But I'm Aaron Duncan signing off for Necessary Button Sports Talk. Appreciate you guys tuning in. I'll see you in the next video. Peace.